Hello and welcome to episode 10 of season 4 of the Voiro podcast, which means this is episode 49 in total, which means next week, drum roll, is episode 50.
I'll be holding a glass of wine in my hand while doing this podcast next week.
We absolutely should. We should raise a toast.
For sure.
How are you, Kavita?
Good. I'm a little sad because of the earnings season. And apparently, there is a big rumor out, or rather, the speculation out that Spotify is never going to be able to be profitable. That's sad.
I'm already worried that my favorite app might die. Not because of earnings, but because of a crazy gentleman who's running it. Which brings me to my opening icebreaker. What is your favorite joke about X?
I don't have one.
You don't have
I
one?
don't have one because everything is is off color. Let's hear yours.
My favorite joke was that the new shit posting is
Take a guess.
excretion.
You.
Please, no snackable for this.
Yeah, no snackable for this.
Yeah.
Please, if you cut it into a snackable, it'll just be very bad taste.
Oh God, retake. No, but they're definitely losing the plot. Overnight, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing at some point X.com will have a tab called Twitter. I hope, because why would they lose the brand? I was reading the other day on.
I mean, isn't X.com already taken up by some porn site or the other?
No. X.com has been Elon Musk's pet project for a long time, ever since his PayPal days. He's had the domain for decades and he's always wanted to do something. He hinted at this when he took over Twitter as well. But, I was glad to see him bring Linda Yaccarino on board, step away from running the company, focus on advertising. Technically he bought this asset and it has been devalued by about 50% or something to that effect. But he was making the right moves, finally. And I felt this feels like a midnight eccentric genius running the show, but basically want to do whatever he wants.
And yet we still continue to use Twitter.
Yeah, but you know what Ben Thompson was talking about this. He said of all the social media platforms, Twitter is the only one that had cracked the verb and the noun into our vernacular. It is a tweet and you tweet it.
Yeah.
It's like saying Google it, right? You can't say threads it. They're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
You can't say Facebook me is still kind of weird these days. You can gram something. But Twitter was the cream of all the verb noun combinations, right? You can tweet it. It's a tweet. The tweet is actually a nice sounding.
Okay, even slacking it to me, right? He slack it to me. It's still B2B parlance.
Yeah, but Slack is B2B
Yeah,
parlance, which is still okay. But they had the best one, and for some reason they.
So what happens? What does a tweet become now?
Don't know. Did you X this morning? I really don't know.
X marks the spot. I mean, it sounds a little ew. Anyway, maybe it won't stick.
Right.
Maybe it's they will come up with something else.
I sure hope not. I don't know. They were getting that advertising straight, which was what I was hoping for because I really love the platform. And I don't know. I don't want to use threads. I really don't want to use threads.
I after all of my investigation on threads and coming onto it, I just disconnected and I switched it off as well. And Lena is like nodding vigorously, saying I did the same thing. It was just ridiculous. It didn't make any sense to me at all. Right? So anyway, back to earnings calls. It's earnings season. There's Google, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix. Everybody's earnings are out. They're all middling around. It's not like it's nothing great. I mean, it's nothing bad either. It is just not what the street expected. Also, one of the things that, you must keep in mind is that everybody else's bases are very different. Netflix is a very different base from a Microsoft base. And Microsoft...
Single product.
Correct. Microsoft has multiple products. Netflix is only content. And so everybody is seeing marginal growth. Netflix does not have some amazing hockey stick growth on advertising. They just have 1.5 million ad subscribers right now, but they're also cracking down heavily on password sharing. Has the screen appeared in your house?
No.
It appeared in mine, and I said skip for later because I didn't know what to do because my mother-in-law.
What does the screen say?
So it says that can we consider everybody in this profile on this network to be part of this household? Well, somebody who's accessing this profile is not on this network, but I'm still paying for them. So I didn't understand how does that make a difference?
It should not.
Yeah.
But, I think if they're giving you multiple profiles, they should do the smart thing that Hotstar did a while ago. Right? You pay for multiple profiles. That's it. It's not the same fee, and those profiles need not be in the same household. They can be anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it a little whiny of them to say, "Oh, you guys are sharing passwords and we're losing money." They're known for bigger things. They're known for the great recommendation
it's a
engine.
legitimate fourth profile in my family, and she is part of the family, but she is not living in the same house.
And I maintained this from 4 quarters ago when Netflix's first earnings report came out after the ad-supported model, or rather before that, when everyone sort of portended the doom of Netflix, right? I think Netflix is struggling with a PR problem. This password issue should not gather this much attention. Yeah. Every app has a password sharing problem, and every app has mechanisms to either crack down on it, log you out, run two-factor authentication, or allow you to pay for multiple profiles or multiple devices. It's quite straightforward. Netflix is whiny. If you ask me.
Are they trying to simplify the problem that they have at hand, which is something that everybody in the media industry seems to be doing? And that brings me to one of the things that Santosh brought to our attention, which is Evan Shapiro's newsletter, where he's basically ripping apart the entire leadership cadre of the media space.
All the old men.
The old white men who are running these organizations. And it seems like everybody's looking at their acquisitions, their decisions very myopically. It's just like the top level. They're not trying to look under the hood to try and find out what actually is happening below the surface, whether their decisions are good or bad. When David Zaslav, I think last year when we were doing the podcast, one of the first couple of things we spoke about was his extreme cost-cutting measures that he was taking. We were like, maybe...
Bob Iger.
Yeah, Bob Iger. And so the sentiment that he postulates in this entire article of his is, he says, everybody's thinking, how did it get so bad all at the same time for all these companies? And how do we fix it? And the only thing he turns to is leadership. And he consistently talks about how leadership has to improve and how they have to go beyond the brief of the regular leadership, which is, I listen to my coterie of yes men who are there in my C-suite and make these acquisitions. And, coming down to acquisitions, this is not the first time. This is the second time Disney's done this in India. The first time they acquired UTV. Ronnie Screwwala's company, they picked it up, chucked it, right? Now they picked up all these assets with their previous acquisition, and Hotstar was part of it. It's like a love them and leave them kind of situation. But none of this information was new, right? They would have done the diligence. They would have known how much each subscriber was paying for it. They would have known how important IPL was to keep this platform running.
And the fact that India is low on yield compared to the
and yet they let it go. And India is a great market, a fantastic market to experiment and build, and then take it outside and scale it globally. Why couldn't they do that? Why are they letting everything kind of rot and roll around in the mud when there's so much work that's gone into building these organizations?
Yeah. I think these are uncharted waters for them as companies.
That's an excuse, I think.
No. But I think therefore it needs them to evolve. Right? Their old tricks don't work.
Yeah.
It is a leadership problem.
Yeah.
It definitely is. There is no excuse for it. Right? I mean, look at Satya Nadella, right? That company keeps reinventing themselves.
Yeah.
They keep pulling themselves out of a hole. We talked about it, I think, 2 quarters ago, right? Lifelong underdog, but always finds a way to stay in the top 10, right? And even now, with what they're doing with OpenAI and ChatGPT, and now they've managed to collaborate with Facebook and open source Llama and offer that through the OpenAI stack. I think that's an example of someone who's really trying to reinvent themselves all the time. And like he said, I can make Google dance. And Google's dancing, and they've come back strong as well, right? But that's what I think Evan Shapiro expects to see from the leaders of the media industry, which maybe has more skeletons in their closet, maybe has a lot more room to evolve, but it's no excuse.
And it's so contrary to where we are today. You were just talking about this before we started rolling. There has never been a better time to be a content creator. It is so easy to create content. You can shoot from your phones, you can record from your office, you can walk on the streets and create an entire movie. You can go from being on somebody's phone to walking the red carpet at the Oscars, and it's completely doable. It's not inaccessible at all, and yet we have so much strife. And people are willing to pay. Advertisers are willing to pay. People are willing to do everything that they can, but there is this archaic way of dealing with how a media organization needs to be run and what kind of revenue sharing or money they're able to pay certain types of people, or how much everybody gets part of, of that kitty is under fire right now. And that's in your writers and actors strike, which is still continuing. And we're going to see the effects of this not now, but in like next summer and next fall season, because by now things should have gone onto the floors. Nothing has gone onto the floors. Everything is stuck. And people are donating money. Like Dwayne Johnson has contributed a 7-figure donation to the SAG-AFTRA. That's because people who are down in the food chain are not getting paid.
Yeah.
Makeup artists, set designers, people who are like extras, they're not getting paid.
Do you think that AI can truly replace?
I don't think it can replace, but I definitely think there need to be some rules. And I think studio executives should definitely realize that needs to be some rules. And I think those steps need to be taken by people who are tech first or consider themselves tech first, like Netflix.
Yeah. But I think there's definitely room for a new relationship where they augment the same talent with AI to make them 10x more productive.
Yes.
I was listening to the Indian Dream podcast, which we were featured on, I think, sometime last year. And Sid was talking about AI, and he'd interviewed one of the investors from Axel. And it was so in Priyank Swarup, who we've had the pleasure of meeting once. And he was talking about how AI has changed his own life when it comes to podcasting. And like you said, it's never been a better time to be a creator, right? So last year, he used to sit and edit every single episode and put out a video and put out an audio. He said he now uses a tool where at the end of the podcast recording, he says stop, he gets a transcript. And he just reads the transcript at night and deletes sentences from it, and it automatically edits the video and deletes those corresponding segments. And then publishes the video and publishes it to all of his channels. He's like, it has saved me 95% of the time I used to take. So now instead of needing a team, he can just be a single creator. That's it. It's such a powerful tool.
But take that and extrapolate that to a studio now, right? They are saying that I don't need a team of 10 people. I need a team of 2. So why should I pay that team of 2 anything less than how much they individually need to be paid instead of...
But what if you empower the same 10 people? Because the hunger for content is not going away.
Exactly.
At my house, we now watch an entire series every weekend. Every weekend, start to finish. We binge and we look for single season series, like a mini series or mini web series. Right? If it's 6 episodes, 7 episodes,
you're on.
Let's go. Right? We watch it on a Saturday. It's embarrassing, but we watch it on a Saturday evening, and sometimes on a Sunday morning we get up and we continue it over breakfast.
Yeah, everybody does it. I think all of us probably do it if you're like as hooked.
So I think the hunger for content is insatiable. And I would much rather watch something new, something like a Silo or something like, the shows you've been recommending on Apple TV, as opposed to going back to watching Friends in the Office. I mean, I can always do that, but getting access to a new series, high quality, well produced, I think there's always going to be a hunger for it.
Yeah.
So I say you can keep the 10 people, but make them 10x more productive.
Maybe yes, I agree. I think new ideas have to come from people. AI can do the entire cutting up, distribution, syndicating it to different types of platforms, making sure that discoverability is there, making sure that you're getting newer audiences and recruiting new audiences to watch, say, library content. Like, for example, Seinfeld has been doing the rounds. Schitt's Creek has been doing the rounds on, Instagram. There are so many fan pages up. Modern Family, Ellen. So people are rediscovering all of this content all over again. Make money from that. Have effort versus impact completely inverse. Use AI to actually make those cuts and make a ton of money on advertising against it and drive discovery of that content, and then let them come back to watch library content, which has anyway done its time, and you're getting newer audiences to it. So I'm hoping that they will come to some understanding.
I want late night comedy back.
Yeah, because one is content from a consumer's perspective, right? But the kind of stories that you're hearing about people who are unable to make ends meet, this whole industry is in suspended animation. People are not getting paychecks. Daily wages are not coming in. People are not able to make the cut for, their healthcare. In the US, I think you need to make about $25,000 for you to be able to access healthcare. And that's not happening. So it's crazy. That's a first world country. It's not like India where, sab chalta hai. There it's like it's expensive. It's crazy. And it must be at some point, affecting people's, I don't know. It's difficult to express, but they kind of brought it upon themselves. They should have reacted much earlier. But I would really want it to come to an end now, because it's soon going to stop coming onto our news cycles after a point. People are going to get bored with it. And then once people get bored, you don't get any access to information. It starts becoming unimportant, and then a deal is cut under the table and everybody walks on with their life. But this is an important issue.
Just to circle back to earnings and polish that off, is it me or is it that there is a very muted reaction to it this time? I remember 2-3 quarters ago, everywhere I looked, I could see earnings reports. And the spotlight was on Netflix. Anything they did, any inch they moved was like tied to their earnings and their stock price. I feel like the reaction now is, I don't know if the world is a little more distracted or maybe less sensitive to it, but I feel like whatever I've been reading is very like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I think the last time all of this was happening was because the crash was very evident, right? Because we were just coming off the cycle of binging and, crazy.
Also, like the great Netflix had fallen.
Yeah.
Right? Their stock had dropped for the first time
The great
ever,
Netflix correction, as they call it.
which is why they launched the ad-supported model.
Yeah.
It's like when Lance Armstrong got caught for dope. Now if you catch someone, they're like, okay, well,
Yeah. Been there, done that.
But he was the first one through the door.
Marginal utility
Yeah.
of news. Yeah, but so I'm assuming that's the reason as well. Also because I think overall, economy-wise, things are definitely slowing down. They are not. We're not able to get out of this.
Yeah.
These doldrums.
Yeah.
So to
I'm
speak.
worried about my own earnings.
We're worried about our earnings here as well, but at least conversations are happening. In India, at least conversations are happening, events are happening, and things like that. So let's hope we kind of push through with this year. Anyway, so retail media. You, I remember, spoke about retail media long back in terms of content plus retail media. Do you remember what you said about in that episode about Kroger?
It suddenly struck me that all the attention on retail media suddenly started making sense because you're at the point of commerce, right? So it's like a shortcut because all of other advertising, whether it's traditional, whether it's digital, whether it's connected TV, at some point you're driving a lot of expenditure to point to conversions, either in one hop or in 3 hops. But along the way, you're picking up proxies. Click-through rate is a proxy for a conversion. At some point, the conversion data is sitting with a different party. So the combination of everybody in this supply chain, while everyone's trying to drive conversions, at some point, it's a very diluted chain of events. Whereas what struck me about retail media is that the entire cycle of buying, conversion, transaction is happening at the point of the transaction, which means the ability to measure ROAS, the freedom to be irrelevant is just not there. And that is why we started to see the partnerships that we were seeing, like Kroger and Roku, any combination of a big retailer with a CTV brand, because you want to create shoppable commerce. You want to shortcut the point of interaction of the consumer to the point of commerce. I think that's what started to make a lot more sense for me, that suddenly everything's happening in the shortest possible.
Yeah, and also AI can be used here, right? So for example, today, if I am a luxury brand and I have my own e-commerce site, or I'm a aggregator of e-commerce luxury e-commerce products, and I have all the pictures of these different bags, for example. Now, if I'm layered on top of content and I'm able to talk to this stream, with AI, I'm able to recognize the bag, the model, where I can buy it, etc. And you can make that entire video shoppable. So if the video player manufacturer, like the player, right, the creator, the software creator of the video player, whether it belongs to the content creator on content platform or not, and the e-commerce platform get together and they have a collaboration, this is easily done. And this is good money, because today we pause our video to deactivate subtitles. We pause our video to play back, go forward, etc. But user behavior can be taught, where you pause your video and look at what the products are in this particular frame and say, add to my cart, because anyway it's against your profile. So if you have a universal profile, you can add it to a universal cart, or if it's activated by Amazon or whatever, I don't know. It could go through.
This is taking me back to 2 conversations we've had many years ago. One of which was with Bharat from Sensara.
Yeah.
Who, I think it's called X-Ray, the technology that's used by Amazon Prime. And he was talking about the possibilities of X-Ray, not to know who the actors in the frame are, but X-rays to know what products are in the frame. And very often we watch movies and watch content and we're like, I like that product. I want to know more about it. I watched some YouTube shorts yesterday where I really wanted to know where I could buy something that was in the video. And I looked through the comments and all I could find was like troll, nasty comments. And I was surprised that nobody was saying, hey, where can I get that poster? And the second one was Adori Labs.
Yes.
Karthik Parija was here. Blast from the past. I want to say
Man,
2015,
really?
2016.
I think are they still around? We should find out.
Very much. But he was talking about X-ray technology in the world of audio and the fact that in real time you could extract the content from the audio, source either the product or the link or the fact check or the tweet or the person, whatever it is, and effectively give the user the ability to be curious while listening. The challenge there is, of course, you tend to listen when you're on the go. You're not in front of a screen. But at some point...
But increasingly now, we're listening to podcasts sitting in a room, walking. It's not really only while driving, which is...
I was doing the dishes.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. So retail media in general has become very, very popular. The connection between commerce and content is predestined, right? And it's a no-brainer that you have to make it happen. But now comes the aspect of how do you make it easy for advertisers to access this inventory? How do you make it easy for advertisers to run campaigns against this inventory and make sure that they are collaborating along with their other media buys and media spends? And so Pubmatic has come out with their own self-service
retail
media, commerce media platform. Everybody seems to have their version of what they're doing with commerce media. In their release, they say that they're a self-service ad platform for commerce media, and it's called Convert. And they have a bunch of people who are helping them build this platform out. And from what we see, large e-commerce players have their own self-serve platforms. Amazon has their own self-serve platform, or Flipkart has their own self-serve platform. Even a Purple, I think, in India has their own self-serve.
ShareChat, which you famously used.
Yeah. ShareChat also has a self-serve platform. Yes, but their self-serve platform, I still maintain it. It's too complicated. It's too complicated for the audience that would be putting up ads, the long tail. But like I said, I met somebody else from Rummy.com who said that I'd rather have a self-serve platform that gives me data-rich audience cuts so that I'm able to run a specific campaign, even if it is at a premium. But I don't have to deal with a direct sales guy who has only a rate card with him and can't do much with me otherwise. Or I go through a programmatic route and you give me something that is so broad that is not going to make me, it's not going to give me any returns. So that there's this fine line between premium advertising as well as programmatic advertising. And where the premium advertising aspect of it is where you need to have large volumes for it to make sense to have people and get a white glove service, and programmatic advertising where it's very broad base and a broad stroke. But coming back to self-service ad platforms, I'm curious to know what Pubmatic is offering. Are they offering players where they're saying that you can access your product listing? Is it a product listing based commerce media platform, or is it like a branding one, or is it a non-endemic brand?
I haven't gotten eyes on it yet, but my guess is they're already in the self-serve game because of who they are in the industry, right?
Correct.
I think what they're going to try and do is aggregate, because that's what a retail media network is trying to do, right? You want to aggregate all possible supply so that you're not giving users the need to go to different self-service platforms to access different retail media websites. So I'm guessing it's going to be something around aggregation, and that's probably the secret sauce.
Yeah. But the thing about any self-serve platform at the end of the day is that there are limitations. There are limitations, and you have to figure out where and what you're tailoring that platform to provide to end advertisers. Because just because it's simple doesn't mean it's effective, right? And you need, like exactly in this entire conversation between ShareChat and Rummy.com and premium branding and advertising, there are ways in which self-service advertising does not really make the cut and cannot scale beyond a specific aspect. So it's not proxy for good strategy like this that the MediaReader.com talks about, Pubmatic's new launch. But it's a great move, and we wish them all the best. And I want to see what comes out of it, because it's interesting to see how the entire market will actually organize itself around driving branding advertising towards effective advertising and bottom of the funnel, making sure that I'm able to see an ad and carry it right through to actual purchase. And how is that rewarded? Because usually that's rewarded with some level of attribution, some cut of the sales, something that's higher than just CPM or CPC. It becomes far larger because it's so effective. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. One last thing before we close out. The big box office hits.
Oh yeah, I have not watched either.
We're in
We're in no man's land.
no man's land.
But it's done really well world over. I mean, Barbie started marketing it started marketing 6 months ago. Around about Christmas.
Was a year ago.
Yeah, around about Christmas. And Avatar was doing the rounds then, and they decided to plant a flag at that point in time and start advertising. And I don't think anybody expected Barbie to be such a runaway hit and strike such a deep chord amongst the entire what they're calling the cultural zeitgeist, right? Everybody is like all about Barbie. Everybody's about the Barbie pink. You see every single influencer about Barbie, and people have a love-hate relationship with Barbie, but there is never a no relationship with Barbie. It's like I hated Barbies as a kid, or I loved it and I had like the wardrobe and the entire Barbie family, and there are good jokes and crude jokes about Barbie and whatever else. But it's still very, very central to everybody's childhood, right? And conditioning. So it's good and bad. There are debates about everything about Barbie. So I think Barbie has definitely been a runaway success. It made like almost 2 or 3 times
Oppenheimer's opening weekend revenue.
Correct.
I have missed all of them. Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, Barbie, Oppenheimer, and it's very unlike me. But the only thing that's keeping me going is that I have a nice TV at home now.
Yes, I think that's the inertia. I think the fact that you've got a beautiful TV at home, and it's ultimately going to come on to that.
Everybody I know was struggling to get tickets, couldn't go, got shitty seats. It's like, I want to watch it at home. And I mean, I've been watching more theatrical releases this year than I've ever done in the past. But
yeah.
I just didn't want to get into this race. But I will watch them on my TV at home.
I'm excited about Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani. I have booked tickets on Saturday in the afternoon, and I'm going to go for this because it's been a really long time since I watched a good movie. And the last one was a movie about the rapper. What was it? What was the movie about the rapper?
What, Gully Boy?
Gully Boy, yes. Yeah.
Gully Boy was great.
It was a great movie. I must have watched it twice.
I'm not going to tell you how many times this.
You realize I saw it so many times?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I saw Top Gun Maverick 7 times.
Yeah, I have. Well, all of us did multiple rounds. But, we didn't speak of Mission Impossible because we didn't do the podcast the weekend it came out, and I went and watched it. I liked it, but his entry was so insipid. I didn't know when to shout. So I was feeling very, very let down. I didn't, my excitement was bubbling over, thinking, okay, now he's going to make an appearance. And then he makes an appearance in this very like insipid, from the shadows kind of way. And I'm like,
I figured it would be a few more years before he did this. I feel like he's cranking out one hit after the other. He must be really busy.
Yeah, he is. He's Tom Cruise, man.
What else are you watching these days? Didn't do this at the top of the...
You tell us, since you've picked up some new shows that you wanted to...
I'm watching 4 shows at the same time.
Amazing. Are they've already finished their run the seasons? Is it a binge?
It's a binge,
okay.
Yes. I finished The Bear season 2. Loved it. I've just finished Kohara on Netflix. I'm not so sure I want to linger around Punjab or Rajasthan.
After seeing Dahad and Kohara, I don't want to go north of the Vindhyas. I'm scared now. I'm like, what is up? What's going on up north?
And then I watched Welcome to Wrexham, which Santosh is nodding. I don't know if you've heard of this. So it's a true story. Ryan Reynolds, it's a docu-series. Reynolds picked up a football club in Wales, if I'm not mistaken. And it's very sentimental but very nice, feel-good story. And then I watched Breakpoint, which is the Drive to Survive equivalent in the world of tennis. There is so much drama in tennis. And now they've also done golf, and then they've also done another one on the Tour de France.
Are you going to watch all?
The Tour de France one is supposed to be outstanding.
I'm sure golf also will be. There are a lot of stories that are untold about these sports, right? We only see whatever has been telecast.
What I like is access to behind-the-scenes stuff. Even like with Breakpoint, Every time they walk into the tunnel, you don't know what happens behind the scenes. But now suddenly you're like there, and it's fascinating to see it. Tour de France, of course, is supposed to be full of crap behind the scene, all the doping scandals and the rivalries and the all the behind the scenes drama. So I'm quite excited to see it.
Nice. I'm looking forward to some content coming up. Murders in the Building is coming up August 8th
Yeah.
and August 10th.
Made in heaven.
Made in Heaven! Oh my God, I waited so long for Made in
Zoya
Heaven.
has just been lazy.
Yes,
She
she
should have
has.
done this like 3 years ago.
Exactly. I agree, but I'm so glad it's coming out now. I'm going to. My August is already looking precarious. I may not be going out. So, but it's a good time. But like I was saying, this is what is giving me heartburn. Right? There's so much turmoil, and then we have this content that's coming out, and I'm addicted. I'm completely addicted. So I really need to know that there's more coming. Otherwise, what am I going to do with my life? Oh my God. Yeah. But anyway, so that brings us to the end of today's episode. And if you guys haven't caught it, last week Anand interviewed
Shivain Mishra.
Shiveen Mishra from IAB about RTB
Yes,
and their
we interviewed
protocols.
Shivain Mishra, who's from the IAB Tech Lab, and specifically broke down what OpenRTB 2.6 was about. OpenRTB is a protocol that's been created by the IAB, which is used as a standard for programmatic advertising. It sets the standards for publishers to share data and buyers to know what they're buying and create bids. But if you get into the weeds of it, it allows for a lot more information sharing so that you can really extract the most value out of what you're selling. And if you're a buyer, you can really know what you're paying for and get value for your bid. It's a beautiful protocol. We had Anil with us, who also talked about the beauty of protocols in general, whether it was in in electric vehicle world to USB ports, USB-C, for example. But the whole idea is protocols, they have a sort of game theory-esque flavor to them, right? Where even if we are competitors, if we stick to a protocol, we both win because it gives us a shot at a bigger market. And OpenRTB 2.6 is specifically designed for connected TV and fast. And Shivain helped us understand how it came about, the history of the tech lab, the history of the OpenRTB protocol, and why 2.6 is such a game changer when it comes to connected TV. So it was a fascinating, we learned a lot.
Yeah, and so will you if you listen to it. So please do listen to it. And if you have any questions, Shivain is always very happy to answer them. You can connect with him on LinkedIn or you can write to us as well. So thank you everybody for listening and we will see you next week. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Tina. Bye, everybody.